Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Chairman of PDP Governors Forum says crisis has been resolved, as called warring parties to revert to status quo. Tonight, our focus is on the resolved PDP crisis, and my guest tonight is Dinro Odeyemi, former Deputy Publicity Secretary of the PDP. Welcome, everyone. Stay with us. I'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. After 2 days of intense deliberations and consultations, the People's Democratic Party Governors Forum on Tuesday announced that it has broken truce amongst the warring factions and restored peace to the party. Bala Mohammed, the chairman of the forum, insisted that there are no factions in the party and that the crisis rocking the party has been resolved. Also speaking on the issue, Ilya Damagum, PDP acting national chairman, is also insisting that there is no crisis in the party as far as he's concerned. He says, and I quote, "Some people want to take advantage of the situation. I urge the press not to escalate things even when there is no crisis. As far as I'm concerned, the governors are leaders and critical organs of this party. And when they speak, we must look at it holistically and also abide by it." Let's take a look at the outcome of the meeting.
Please go out word to word, house to house, over the next 3 weeks. Win souls for PDP. It shall be well with us.
Opportunity have come to you once again to change the narratives, to change hunger, to chase poverty and insecurity. Abola Ajayi is a well-tested candidate that can deliver dividend of democracy to all of you in Ondo State.
And I want to reassure you that this party is one. There is no faction. There is no division. We are together. And you can see we are all here.
To help us make sense of those latest developments, the People's Democratic Party is Dinro Odeyemi, former Deputy Publicity Secretary of the PDP. Good evening to you, Mr. Odeyemi. Thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm happy. It's my pleasure to join you tonight.
Right. So first, how do you feel about all that has happened in the last few days? Yes, the leadership of the party says we're fine now. The crisis has been resolved. All suspensions revoked, and all aggrieved members must return to status quo. Were you embarrassed, just as the other chieftains says they were?
Nobody will be happy in the midst of crisis. Nobody will be happy when you see your political party in disarray. And I'm sure nobody is happy about the conduct of the leadership. But now, just like I said, and I often say it, there is always time for crisis and there is always time for resolution. After darkness comes the light. Positive reasoning will prevail at one point or the other. You can see that in Ondo State, it became very imperative for our leaders to see the sense in coming together so that we don't sing the same old song that we lost Ondo State to APC again. So the need for us to come together perhaps is the reason why they came together this today at the campaign rally of Abola Ajayi in Ondo State to preach peace and love among the leaders. And it's a good step towards resolving peace. And we are happy, and we hope that this will be the process of a long-lasting good relationship that will come back to the party.
All right. So Mr. Odeyemi, for better context, what would you say is the originating factor of this crisis? Is it really about the next national chairman of the party? Is it really about 2027 general election? And some have asked, why did it take the governors this long to intervene?
I've said this severally. You see, we want to trace the beginning of this crisis to the issue of our presidential primary that happened in 2022 in Abuja. That was between Governor Yeson Wike and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. The way the whole thing went caused the crisis. And we all know, you see, we don't need to explain this. We have said it severally. The issue is there is this convention that after 8 years of the presidency from the north, the right thing is for the presidency to come to the south. And under normal circumstances, perhaps opportunity will not have been given to any northerner to contest in that primary election. But this was not to be. It was given a free, everybody was given a free hand to contest. And at the end of the day, Governor Tambua stepped down for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who eventually will emerge as the candidate of the party. And perhaps, you know, this wouldn't have caused a crisis or wouldn't have caused a problem, because in any election, you expect somebody to win. But at the end of the day, Wike was promised the position of the presidential candidate, which did not happen again. And it became an issue of, you know, all it is about North affair, because you can't have the presidential candidate from the north, the chairman of the party coming from the north. This is against the convention or the article of the party, the constitution of the party. And the insistence that Ayu should leave the stage for his Zatana to emerge as the chairman failed. And we went into the crisis with this, we went into the election with this crisis. And up till now, we are still on it, simply because some people are looking towards 2027, that perhaps they are going to come out again as the presidential candidate. And Wike is like, if you do me, I do you. You can't stop me from becoming the presidential candidate, and in 2027, you now walk towards becoming the candidate again. That is the old crisis. But we all know that we cannot win any election without peace. It is only in the atmosphere of peace that you can choose a candidate. So we believe the status quo that the governors and the BOT recommended will be a starting point to resolve all the crises.
So, Mr. Odeyemi, I also asked why you thought it took the governors this long to intervene in this crisis.
Actually, that should be a question for the governors, because many of us have even called them names. We have blamed them for allowing this crisis to escalate to this point. We expected them to have come in before now. We expected them as the leaders of the party and as sponsors of the party, as people who have the wherewithal to settle whatever is the crisis. We expected them to have come on board before now, but it's not too late. If they decided to come now, it is still a good step. So let's hope for the best.
You know, I asked the question earlier, and I asked the question because some party chieftains have outrightly said, this is Ambassador Damagum doing all he can to become the national chairman of the party. They say he's fighting so hard to retain that office. And others say, no, it's high time PDP followed the constitution of the party, which favors the North Central region. So as an insider, could you help us make sense of all these?
The normal thing, and if we are to follow the constitution, is to replace Ayu with someone from the same zone he came from, and that is the North Central. It's a normal thing, is the expectation. But at the same time, there cannot be a vacuum in the party until the North Central is able to present a candidate to the National Executive Council, NEC. Then there cannot be a vacuum. So I want to believe that what Damagu is fighting for is that I should be the acting chairman and nobody else. So I don't believe that he's going to court is against presenting somebody from the North Central. I think it is against having somebody, you know, among the officers to replace him. That is just my understanding. Right. And that's what I want to believe. Because if we are to follow the constitution, it is the North Central that we have to present a candidate for that position.
But some have argued that that position is, in its entirety, is not in the party's constitution. And the party constitution only talks about the North, South, and East. And there is nothing like micro-zoning to the North Central. Could you please shed some light on that?
No, in the absence of the chairman or whoever is holding any position from any zone, if there is vacancy by way of death, resignation or suspension, you replace that position with somebody from the same zone with that officer. That is what it states.
Okay. So once again, Mr. Odeyemi, I would like you to take us through the party's constitution from time immemorial, when the PDP was indeed the PDP, when the PDP was founded in 1998, a party they say was founded on equity, justice, and fairness. How does the party manage, or how did the party manage internal conflict of this nature, and what has changed over the years?
Okay. What has changed was the issue of the presidential candidate coming from the South. It is the convention that when you have a president from the North for a certain period of years, the equation should shift to the South. That was the expectation of the likes of Yeson Wike, Seyi Makinde, and all other governors. But at the end of the day, during our primary, in fact, the whole thing started when Bala Mohammed Committee gave a blanket order to any interested aspirants to contest the presidential election, whereas they should have pegged it to the South. That is, a candidate should emerge from the South. That was the beginning of the crisis. And the moment they allow a free-for-all contest, Atiku emerged in one way or the other. And if Tambuwal had not stepped down, and there is a kind of an imbalance in the election won by Atiku, all the candidates came to the rostrum to campaign to the delegates on why they should be voted for. Tambuwal had done his own, Atiku had done his own, Wike did his own, but based on the ovation or the reaction of the delegates, perhaps they realized that Wike will eventually emerge victorious in that election. And at a point in time, David Mark, who happened to be the chairman of the convention, came back to the rostrum to say, yes, even though all the aspirants have campaigned, but one of them still want to say something again. That opportunity shouldn't have been allowed, but it was allowed. And that was when Tambuwal came back to say, yes, he was not contesting again. He decided to step down for Atiku. It is normal to coin that action as northern conspiracy against the South. And that was the reason why we are in this problem till now. That is it. If anybody is saying anything contrary, that is their own opinion. But as a journalist, as a politician, I want to believe that was the beginning of the crisis.
All right. The first part of the question was, how did the party manage a crisis of this nature in the past?
Yes, there is entrenched in our constitution, that is the constitution of PDP. There is internal mechanism to which crises are resolved. Of course, after any election, we always have appeal. People can come and appeal against the outcome of the election if you have any reason to do so. If there are no reasons, the next thing is for a committee to contact whoever loses that election, persuade him, beg him, and do whatever conviction they can do, not to see the election at the end of anything. So it's a process. And I think whoever loses an election, when you see elders of the party coming to appeal to you, it's normal to join the campaign train and forget about everything, or choose to be something else in the party. But this did not happen. We didn't hear of any committee that was set up to reconcile both Atiku and Wike, even though we thought they did it among themselves.
But how hard is it to reconcile, Mr. Derby, how hard is it to reconcile both men for the interest of, in the interest of the party?
I don't believe it is hard. It is only that we don't know how to appeal to an aggrieved person among the two. And who is aggrieved? It is Wike. Because Wike felt When Atiku went to join APC, when Atiku was nowhere, he was there for the party. He was nurturing the party until it became an enviable pride, presentable to Nigerians that whoever is presented from the south to be the presidential candidate will win the election. So he felt aggrieved, he felt shortchanged in the arrangement, and he was just fighting the party, as a kind of a retaliation. So when you talk of reconciliation, I still believe both the BOT, the governors, and the leaders of the party who have input or who are respected in the party should have called both Atiku and Wike, because the two of them are the pillars of the party. It's not that, we can expect them. Don't let us even go there. They are the pillars of the party, and you know what happens to the house when you pull up the pillars? It collapses. But we don't want the house or the PDP to collapse because the two personalities are too heavy in Nigerian politics. Right. To be expelled or to say, yes, we have to start the party all over again. It is reconciliation. And that reconciliation has to be based on fairness, on truth, genuine forgiveness, reconciliation, and respect for the constitution of the party.
Mr. Adeyemi, I asked that question because of the latest development. As it stands, Ambassador Damagum is the acting national chairman of the party. But how does the party continue to manage what now looks like a resurgence of the presidential tussle between Wike and Atiku? Because as of today, some have said the compromised neutrality of Ambassador Damagum escalated this crisis in the PDP. And some have said his leadership style is the weakest party organ in the history of PDP. Do you agree with this sentiment?
I disagree with it. Simply because if you want to blame Damagum for anything, you have to come up with allegations. And on what basis do you want to say, yes, Damagum is weak? I don't understand that. If you want to say that, yes, he ought to have disciplined the likes of Wike, Seyi Makinde, the next question will be, we conducted the election almost 1.5 years ago, if not more than that. Who has raised any objection to Wike's taking appointment in APC? Who has raised the motion or suggested that perhaps the 5 governors, engage themselves in anti-party activities and they should be disciplined? Who has raised it? Nobody has talked about it, simply because perhaps we believe the more we are in the political party, the better for us than to start expelling, all these big wigs. So if we are saying Damagum is weak, on what basis? What are the indices? What are the offense? So I don't see him as a weak chairman. As a chairman, I want to believe he's performing the duty in acting capacity, nothing more than that.
So, you've talked about genuine forgiveness, genuine reconciliation. But whom do you see as the rightful leader of the party at the moment? Someone who is patriotic, neutral, and a strong party person who can continue to lead the party, just like what APC has. I'm asking because some say, as it looks, there are too many strong men in the party who cannot be controlled, and this may further jeopardize the party because some strong members of the party do not care if the party goes into extinction from here. So in your own opinion, who is that person who can rescue the party from internal damnation, just as some political watchers have described this drama?
The party is bigger than any individual. But at the same time, some individuals are too big, to stand away from the party. They are too big to be expelled. So what we do is we manage ourselves. And the management is part of what a good chairman should study or should know, so that we have peace in the party. And when you are talking of an individual who could bring peace into the party, I will not mention any name. Okay. I would rather refer to a group of individuals, that is the Governors Forum and the BOT. They are a combination of eminent Nigerians who have served this country, who have the wherewithal to talk sense to whoever is trying to destabilize the peace in the party. But the point is, they should be ready and be alive to that responsibility in the overriding interest of all the members of the party.
All right. But Mr. Adeyemi, what must the PDP do at this moment to regain its pride as the self-acclaimed custodian of Nigeria's democracy?
What we need to do is to reconcile ourselves, ensure absolute peace in the party, stick to the constitution of the party, assign jobs to people who could do it well. With all this, we will come back as a united, formidable political party.
All right. We also know that the NEC meeting remains sacrosanct. October 24th is still the date. So what are your expectations?
Peace, peace, and peace. Forgiveness, total understanding of or designing a strategy through which we will continue to appreciate and organize ourselves so that we don't expose whatever is the crisis, internal crisis, to the outside world. It's not that other political parties don't have crisis, but PDP is overblown and it's being blown out of proportion simply because...
When you say it's blown out of proportion, what exactly do you mean?
What I mean is, in the last 3 or 4 days now, PDP has formed the front page of major newspapers.
Yeah, because Nigerians expect
Why is it that whenever there is a sneeze in PDP, everybody catches cold?
Because Nigerians regard the PDP...
Is very simple.
Kindly hold on, Mr. Adeyemi. This is because Nigerians regard the PDP as a respected party. Like I said, this is the custodian of the self-acclaimed democracy. So it's expected that Nigerians tilt to, want to know what exactly is happening with the PDP. So, there are other parties Nigerians are not even talking about.
We appreciate that. And we seek for your understanding and prayer that peace should continue to be in PDP.
All right.
Because the peace in PDP that we translate to peace in Nigeria. Especially now that we are in quagmire of policies of APC.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll continue to monitor the developments. Thank you so much, Dinro Adeyemi, former Deputy Publicity Secretary of the PDP. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And thank you so much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at midnight. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Good night, everyone.